season, but a lot has happened since then, and I think my predictions, I can't quite remember what I did, but I think they've changed quite a bit from then. So what I'm going to do now, it's still early enough in the season that I can still make these predictions and still be like, okay, I'm not entirely sure how the table's going to end up, but I have a rough estimate of how good each team is now. So yeah, I'm going to do my Premier League predictions now. When I react to my actual, like, come the end of the season, I'll react to the ones I did at the start of the season, but maybe this is a thing where we sort of do this as the season progresses to see how my predictions change as we go on. Now I should stress that at the time of recording, there's been about 15 games or so played by each team. Obviously things will change by the time you see this, sackings, etc. But my predictions should stay about the same. Anyways, so I'm going to predict my 1 to 20. I'll also do some awards as well, because I did some awards when I did my actual predictions, so I'll talk through those. But yeah, let's get straight into it. So relegation, in 20th spot, I'm pretty sure I had them there. At the start of the season, that is not going to change for me. Southampton for me, 20th spot. They've really been what I've kind of expected, to be honest. I said they gave me Burnley vibes of last season, where, you know, they'll play some decent football, but they'll just play themselves into trouble at points, and they're going to lack the quality to really execute that plan. They're going to be way too stubborn, not going to change their ways, and it's not going to work out, and that's exactly what's happened. You know, Southampton have played some decent football at points this season and been a bit unlucky, but ultimately too many errors at the back from the way they play. The lack of quality is the reason why they've struggled this season. I would be shocked if Russell Martin made it to the end of the season. I do think he'll probably get sacked at some point, and you know, I have even factored that in. I think their squad, to be honest, is just not good enough as well to, even if he goes out, somebody else comes in. They'll probably see an upturn in form, but I doubt it'll be enough to really take them out of the relegation zone, to be honest. So I have a bottom. I think even if Russell Martin's sacked, it's not really going to change the outcome of their season, in my opinion. In 19th, I have Ipswich. Again, I think Ipswich have sort of been exactly what I thought. I said they were sort of Luton vibes really of last season. That's exactly what they've been. They've been a team who have fought hard. They've been super competitive in pretty much every single game they've been in this season. But ultimately, they just lack the quality to really stay in this division, to be honest. They've been quite unfortunate in a lot of games so far this season, similar to Luton last year, and just, undone by bits of quality, a bit of poor finishing, a bit of poor defending at the back. And yeah, I think ultimately Gary McKenna will stay in the job. I think Ipswich will go down with a fight, but I think they're going down. I had them going down at the start of the season. I think they're going to stay going down, to be honest, unless something drastic happens the way they're playing. As I said, they're competitive, they're going to be fighting till the end, but I don't see much changing for Ipswich this season to drag them out for relegation zone, so I think they're going straight back down. And in 18th spot, this was a little bit harder, but I am still going to go for Leicester. I'm going to go Leicester, the three promoted sides. This is a prediction I do remember. I did have these three going down at the start of the season, and I'm going to stick with that. Now, Leicester, of course, have sat their manager. They've got Ruud van Nistelrooy in charge, but the thing is, obviously they've done very well so far since he's come in. The problem is, I just think there's a lot, they're just a bad team. To be honest, they're just a bad team. This season they've been pretty bad. Honestly, they've probably performed worse than Ipswich and Southampton this season. They've just been quite fortunate, but they've managed to some way eke out points. And even under Rude, in the few games he's had, it's continued. But just somehow, some way, got some wins, got some points on the board. When overall, they've been battered pretty much in most games they've played this season. And unless Rude van Nistelrooy is some incredible manager, which I think he's an okay manager, but I don't think he is capable of completely turning this around, turning them into a great team. It's going to stay up. Now, Leicester City have shown, unlike the others, that they do have that ability to eke out some points when they're not playing well, which is why I think they'll finish higher than the other two, and I think they'll go right down to the wire. But I do just think that the team lacks a lot of quality, and I don't think Ruud van Nistelrooy, I think after this honeymoon period sort of goes down, new manager bounce, I think Leicester, you're going to start to see the problems there that Ruud van Nistelrooy is unfortunately not able to solve. So yeah, I just think the Leicester squad is not great, and they're just not a good team, to be honest. I think eventually it's going to get found out, unless Ruud can suddenly somehow stop this, but I don't see it. I think the other teams around him are better as well, so I have them going down. 17th, I have Everton. I have Everton in 17th spots. Yeah, I think Everton, under Sean Dyche, I don't think they'll go down. I would be quite shocked if Everton went down this season, but they're definitely going to be fighting towards the end, I think, to stay up in the division, because I look at the team, and again, they're just not a great team, are they? They have been sort of like Leicester, eking out points recently, but I think their attack is really poor, very poor finishing, has cost them a lot this season. Defensively, they started the season off horrifically, they have got better at that, to be fair. I think Sean Dyche will, do enough to keep them up, but I just think overall there's quite a few holes in that team. They're not amazing, and I just think the teams around them are better, so that's why I have them 17th, to be honest. But I don't think they will go down. I don't think they will. In 16th spot, I have Wolves. I have Wolves in 16th. So my main thinking here is he might be sacked already by the time you see this, but I would be absolutely stunned if Gary O'Neill is Wolves' manager by the end of the season. Hell, even by January, I would be shocked if he was their manager, because it's only going one way. He's going to get sacked eventually, and the way I see it is, if he's in charge, they're going down. They're going down if he's in charge, but he will get sacked eventually, and whoever comes in, obviously it depends on who they appoint here, but I do think whoever comes in will do enough to keep Wolves up, and I think Wolves have enough talent in that squad actually to finish above Everton in 16th spot. They've got some good players, Gunnar, Strand Larsen, the attack is actually really good. The only real issue with Wolves is you just need somebody to come in to sort out the defence. That's been their main problem under O'Neill. The attack is very good, so I think if they get a manager in, gives them a new manager bounce, can just sort out the defence, I think Wolves will be perfectly fine. And yeah, unless they appoint I don't know, some absolute bum manager. I was going to say Frank Lampard, but he's got a job at Coventry now. He's my go-to bum manager. I don't know, unless they appoint Steve Bruce or something. I don't think they're going down. I think they'll stay up. So yeah, them in 16th. 15th, I have Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace will be perfectly fine. They have been slowly improving this season. They started off the season, of course, really, really poorly, but they have been getting better as the season progressed, and I think by the end of the season they'll be perfectly fine. The only reason they're down in 15th is because the teams above them, I think, are just very, very good, and Palace have quite a bit of catching up to do towards them, but I don't think Palace will actually be involved in a relegation battle. I think they'll be perfectly fine, to be honest. 14th I had Brentford. Now, this was really hard. I will say from this point on, from 14th upwards, it was almost impossible to put these teams anywhere. Like, it was so hard. And this feels so harsh putting Brentford here, but honestly, I didn't know what to do. I put Brentford in 14th just because I think the teams above them, a couple of them, I'll get onto the reasons why, but the others, teams like Bournemouth, Fulham, etc., I think are just maybe a little bit more consistent, particularly away. Like, Brentford have been amazing this season, particularly at home, but away have been awful. So yeah, I mean, I could see Brentford getting top 10, but I've got them in 14th. It's not, like I said, it can really fluctuate. I could honestly change any of these. It was very, very hard to separate all of these teams here. 13th is Fulham as well. Again, Fulham, good side this season, have been really good, but again, maybe consistency has been a little bit of an issue for them, which is why I haven't got them a little bit higher up the table. Again, though, it's very, very hard to separate this sort of mid-block here. Anyways, in this mid-table area, 12th spot I have West Ham. Now, some of you might be thinking, why have West Ham so high? But it's kind of similar logic to Wolves. He might be sacked by the time if you see this. If he's not, he will be sacked. I would be shocked if Julian Lopetegui survived to the end of the season. And even if he does, then that means he turns it around at West Ham. So, the way I see it is West Ham will get a new manager in, and again, unless it's some bum manager, West Ham have more than enough talent in that squad to get higher up the table and get into a mid-table finish. I think the talent in that squad is pretty good. So yeah, they just need a semi-competent manager to put the pieces together, and they'll be fine. So that's why I have them above Fulham and Brentford, which might seem a little bit mad at this point in the season, but I think once they get a new manager in, hopefully they will sort out the mess at West Ham, and I think the talent in that West Ham squad will shine through and they get into a mid-table 12th spot. In 11th, I have Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth have been really, really good this season and impressed me a lot. I think they are starting to become a little bit more consistent now. I think, beating those smaller sides, they're taking points off those bigger boys. I really like what Iraola's doing there, and I think they're just actually getting better and better as the season goes on, to be honest. So I have them in 11th spot. Again, it could really fluctuate. They could be 14th, they could be even 7th. I would not be shocked. But yeah, I have Bournemouth there. I have Bournemouth in 11th. 10th spot, I have Newcastle. Now I really struggle where to put Newcastle. I really did struggle where to put Newcastle, but I think 10th is fair. I don't think Eddie Howe makes it to the end of the season. I think the current trajectory at Newcastle is he is heading for the sack. They've not started the season off too well, and I think Newcastle are slowly getting worse and worse. So this is why I have them in 10th. I think they're going to be sliding all the way down, eventually sack Howe. New manager will come in, and again, like West Ham, I think there's talent in that Newcastle squad that they will bounce back, they will see an upturn in form, but I don't think it'll be enough to really push on into like European spots. But I think it will be enough to get them in top 10, so that's really why I have them in 10th. If they don't sack Eddie Howe, I could honestly see Bournemouth finishing ahead of maybe even a Brentford or a Fulham, I don't know, but yeah, I maybe it's a bit of a hot take. I don't see Eddie Howe making it to the end of the season at all. I do think they'll get a new manager in and get a bit of a bounce. In 9th spot, I have Manchester United. Yeah, not the best from United, but obviously Ruben Amorim's come in, and I do think Ruben Amorim is a really good manager, and I think he will, bring some success to Man United. But I just think he's got quite a lot of work to do in this first season, and the early signs are that, again, he has quite a lot of work to do at Man United. They're being left in quite a big mess yes, under Eric Ten Hag, the squad isn't amazing. There's a lot of problems in that team, and I think Ruben Amorim has made it clear that he is a bit of a philosophy manager. He's not going to be like, oh, okay, we're in a difficult spot right now. Let me change my tactics just to get us through these games, get us some results. He's going to stick to his way. He's going to stick to his philosophy so that these players learn it, which is the right thing to do, by the way. But with that, I think there's going to be problems. There's going to be issues, and I think it's not going to be the best season. I think they're going to be very inconsistent, and that's why I have them in 9th spot. I think overall it's going to be a tough one as they sort of learn the Amram system, as he sort of figures out who's good, who's not in this Man United side. I think they're just going to be super inconsistent, and that's why I have them in 9th spot. 8th spot, I have Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest have been superb this season, absolutely superb. Now, I don't think they're going to get European football. I mean, well, actually, this might be a Conference League spot potentially, but still, 8th spot is an amazing finish for Forest. But I do think I have a little bit concerns about consistency with them in terms of beating those smaller sides. They've done it pretty well so far this season, but I don't know if they can maintain that. If you really want to be getting those European spots, you've got to be beating all of these sort of sides here, and then do what they're doing by taking some points off of the bigger boys too. I do think Forest are gonna, however, maintain roughly about the level they're going at, and I think even if they drop off a bit, which I think might happen, I think that it'll result them in being 8th. I honestly think unless they're a huge fall off, Forest lowest self finish is like 10th. To be honest, I think Forest just need to sort of maintain the pace they're going at right now. They can afford a little drop off, and they'll probably still finish 8th, which is fantastic for them. But yeah, I've been super impressed by them. 7th spot. This was very, very tough, but I am gonna go Aston Villa. I'm going to Aston Villa in the Conference League spot. I think Villa haven't been amazing this season, but they've sort of just somehow found ways to win, found ways to get points, which is credit to them. But I don't think, as I said, I don't think they've been very good this season. I think that might eventually catch up to them. I think they've struggled a little bit with Champions League football, which is why I'd see them sort of finishing 7th. I think what might happen is they sort of continue up what they're doing right now. We're not playing too great, getting a couple points here and there, and then I doubt they're getting a deep Champions League run. I think they'll eventually get knocked out, and then after that, I think they'll sort of towards the end of the season, I can see Villa really kicking on and doing well. But I think it'll only be enough to get 7th. I wouldn't be shocked if they get Europa League, but I think like 6th, 7th is probably about right for Villa. I think that's probably their ceiling. So yeah, I think they'll kick on in the second half of the season, which is why I have them getting the Conference League spot. But I just think right now, not playing too great, and I think it might cost them a little bit down the run. In 6th spot, I have Spurs. Now Spurs was a really hard one. I had no idea where on earth to put them, to be honest. I had no idea where to put them. I could see them finishing 11th, and I could see them finishing where I put them in 6th. Honestly, they've just been so inconsistent this season. But the way I see it is, overall, Spurs have actually played some really good stuff this season. They played some really good stuff. They've just had some really, really bad stuff as well. And I think if they can just iron out some of those inconsistencies, Spurs will be fine, and Spurs will get into the Europa League spots at least. I don't see them getting in Champions League football this year. Their best route to that is Europa League. Actually, not really. Spurs ain't winning anything, but I do think if they can just get rid of some of those consistencies, just be a little bit more consistent, Spurs, they're beating most of these smaller sides, but if they can beat all of these smaller sides and avoid losing to Ipswich or Palace, then Spurs will be fine. Yeah, but equally I could see it all capitulating and getting sacked and all. Like, I could generally see that. So I have them in 6, but that's sort of off the premise that they eventually find a bit of consistency and form. 5th spot, I have Brighton. Now this is maybe my most punchy prediction. I have Brighton in 5th, which might raise a few eyebrows to be honest, but the reason I have them here is kind of similar to Spurs. I think if Brighton can just be a little bit more consistent, and learn a bit of game management, learn to kill off some games, I do think they are going to get a Europa League spot. Because Brighton, right now they're already in these sort of areas, and they've dropped so many points in games where they really should have won. Like, I think of the Wolves game, they were 2-0 up with not too long ago. I think of the Leicester game, they were 2-0 up with not long to go. I think against first like Southampton, where they're dominating and draw 1-1. Those sorts of games where Brighton just drops silly points. If they can just turn those into wins, those draws into wins, I think Brighton are going to be perfectly fine, because I think overall Brighton have played some really, really good football. And Fabian has done a really good job. They're doing fantastic against the bigger sides, taking points off them. They just need to be a little bit more ruthless, a bit more consistent against these smaller sides, which, again, I'm sort of banking on them doing, and I think if they do that, then they're getting into a Europa League spot. I think they can finish as high as 5th, to be honest. This is probably their ceiling, but yeah, this is me banking on them being a bit more consistent. But I think they might do it. So, yeah. Right, into my top 4 now. My top 4. I think this top 4, I'm pretty certain, like, I don't see any of these guys getting top 4. Not even because these 4 are amazing, it's just because these guys are just not very good teams compared to these. Like, they're not amazing, they're far too inconsistent to break into that top 4, so that, I mean, unless Manchester City completely capitulate, I don't see a way this isn't the top 4 this season, to be honest. Now the order is going to be a bit hard. So, in fourth spot, I have, I might change it. No, yeah, fourth spot I have Chelsea. Now you guys might be thinking, what? I've been coming out with some chest recently. We're in a diaries. We're amazing with this, with that. I put us 4th. Look, I don't want to get my expectations up. I've been hurt by this team, by this club, too often in the last couple years. I don't want to get my expectations up. I really don't. And the way I see it is, we have been good. We have been very, very good. We've been far better than I expected. This season. And I think most people expected this season. And Mariska's done a good job. But there are still problems in this team. So, I think we are a little bit ahead of schedule. I don't think we're capable of winning the league, to be honest, this year. I don't think we are capable. But I think we're capable of doing a good run and giving it a good go. But as I said, I think there are a little bit of holes in this team still which need to be addressed. The defence is a big issue. With a defence as bad as that, there's no way we can win the league. There's no way we can win the league with a defence that's leaking goals like it is. Our attack has been amazing, but I think there'll come games this season where the attack just has one of those days. Goldbaum has one of those days. Jackson has one of those days. It's not clicking. And then can I count on our defence to keep the ball out the net? No. Which is why I think we'll finish 4th in the end. I think we'll stay in the title race for a little bit and then eventually fall off with a couple poor results. But that is fine. I wasn't expecting to win the title this season. Champions League was my aim. And hopefully we're going to get that. So yeah, I'll take that. Now, in first spot I have Man City. Some of you might be thinking, why have Man City ahead of Chelsea? Well, to be honest, it's because I just think just think Manchester City, there's no way they can keep on capitulating. Eventually Pep will figure it out, right? Like, surely eventually Pep will figure it out. If he doesn't, oh boy. But as I said, I do get the feeling eventually Man City will be fine. And I think they'll, in the second half of the season, rediscover some form. And I think that'll sort of coincide with us maybe slipping off a little bit. We'll drop off a little bit as City sort of get into their groove. But I do think City have sort of got, like, by the time they actually click into gear, I think it'll be too late for them to make a title push, so I think they'll be out of the title equation. But I think they might finish ahead of us just because of that. Again, I'm a sceptical Chelsea fan right now. I really don't want to get my hopes up. So yeah, if Man City are finishing ahead of us, I do think Man City will finish in the top 4, even if they don't step up and improve their game. I think eventually they will, and I think they'll finish third because of it. Right, who do I have winning the league then? Arsenal or Liverpool? Let me put them both up here. So, my champions, I mean, I can tell you I had Man City champions at the start of the season, so I'm changing my prediction here. My champions this year, I'm going to go Liverpool. Yeah, I think Liverpool probably going to do it. Unfortunately, they will. Pains me to say, but yeah, I think they will. I think, you see, I have sort of been saying all season, like, I don't know how long Liverpool are going to sustain this incredible form they're on. I think their squad is, great, but is it really good enough to keep this up for this long? I don't know, but they have proved me wrong, and I still do think that eventually there's going to be a little bit of a dip. Eventually there's going to be a bit of fall off, and I do want to see how they manage that. But the thing is, they've created such a gap that they can have that fall off and it mean absolutely nothing. Like, they will still be top, even with create a good buffer zone between the others, which is why I think they'll be champions. And also the fact that I do not think Arsenal have it in them to be almost perfect into the end of the season. Arsenal are not as good as the last 2 seasons. Arsenal have got a little bit worse in my opinion, and as I said, they have catching up to do with Liverpool. So for Arsenal to catch Liverpool, Liverpool will have to start falling off a little bit, and Arsenal will have to be almost perfect. And I think Liverpool might fall off a little bit naturally, but I don't trust Arsenal to make that ground up. So for that reason, I have Liverpool as champions. Yeah, but Liverpool will be champions, which is pretty mad if that happens. Arnu Slot in his first season doing that is pretty crazy. But yeah, that's my Premier League table. Obviously take it with a grain of salt. Now let me do my awards. So my player of the season, I think it's between Mo Salah and Cole Palmer. I think it's between those two right now. And I do think if Liverpool win the league, it will be Mo Salah. Younger player of the season, I mean, it's probably going to be like Palmer or Saka, but that's like kind of feel like cheating. No. Top goal scorer, I think, will still be Erling Haaland. Chris Wood is kind of close to him, but I think in the end, as I said, City will figure it out, and if they do, Erling Haaland will score a load of goals. So yeah. Signing of the season, Nikola Milenkovic, I think is currently the signing of the season, and I think he'll probably remain that, to be honest. I think continue to be strong for Forest this year. Flop of the season, I think, will be Dewsbury Hall again. Don't know why we paid that amount of money to sign him and do absolutely nothing. Most improved player, I think, will be Chris Wood, of course. He probably is the most improved player right now, and I think he'll continue his goal scoring and have a really good season. I wouldn't be surprised if he hit like 20 goals this season. But Des Cunha is a good shout as well. I think definitely under a new manager he could be sensational. And well, I guess I was gonna say, like, the next manager's sacked. I'll just say all the managers who I think will be sacked. Russell Martin, Gary O'Neill, Julian Lopetegui, Eddie Howe, I think are all gone. And I think potentially, if things go horribly wrong, Ange could get the sack, but I don't think he will. He could though, he could. Anyways, those were my updated Premier League predictions. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know your predictions in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed, please leave a like, consider subscribing. And I'll see you in another video.